Hey guys, Sensei George here. Today, I'm flying my nerd flag high. I'm going over some techniques that were in one of my favorite animes called History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi. So in this anime, the character had to fight a karate club that was giving him some trouble, and to try and improve himself, he got some lessons from one of the other main characters. I'm going to be going over that, and before we do it, I just want to show you some few clips of what they actually look like. There's 3 techniques in general that we'll be going over. The first one is going to be a dodge into a floating rib punch. You can see it here.
That's it. Step. Pivot.
What? He just disappeared. When did you?
The second is going to be a sweep of the ankle while the opponent is exhausted and trying to punch you, that you can see here.
He's so smart. There's no way I'm gonna let him beat me.
The last one is going to be a technique that's commonly used in judo and in taijutsu. It's very effective, but it's an offensive defensive move that's fused, and you rush into your opponent, you block him, and you take his feet off. You can see here.
Now it all makes sense. When I get back into the right stance, I take an extra step forward and push with all my weight. Then I draw my opponent in using my momentum as a return to my stance. That way my defensive move becomes an offensive move.
So, we're going to be going over those techniques in real life. There are a few tweaks that I would do to it to make it a little bit more effective here and there, but we're going to go over what was done in the anime, then we're going to show how I would do it in modern taijutsu, and go on from there. So, buckle up, it's going to be an awesome ride. So today I have Kevin working with me, and the first technique, as we said before, is the dodge into one of the punches to the floating ribs. So in the anime, Strato, I want you to keep this in mind, that when I come around for the dodge, you want to come on this side for the technique. Is that when we're squared up, he's going to come in with a gyakute, which is a cross punch in which you're walking forward and you step with each strike with each opposite limb. So he comes to come in with that first one, and I move offline. Everything was done to the opponent's left side in this anime for the scene. So when he comes in for the next one, Kenichi comes very far to the other side, almost blading with the opponent and charging his punch more or less, steps an additional time, and then twists into the floating rib of the opponent. Yeah? So showing you that one more time, is that he evades the first one, steps into the second one, offline, and steps and punches into the floating ribs. But it wasn't so good for Kenichi. His opponent was really big, and the floating rib punch did nothing to him. So he's had to start doing some mechanical things and figuring out during the middle of the fight. So the second one was, again, the lead punch. And then when the second punch came in, he was exhausted and he's coming like very heavily, overly committing. So he tried to punch through the dude's head and overcommitted that next step. And when he goes to do that, Kenichi then used his rear foot, swung it forward, stepped and brushed along his ankle, and this caught the opponent from that, so he fell forward from the momentum. So his foot was trapped, and Kevin, if you would let your weight carry you naturally, it lunged him forward in that motion when he committed and his weight wasn't on that foot. The third one was pretty spot on. There's not much that I can say that wasn't done correctly on that. So the third one is the first punch came in, he stepped offline. The second one, he actually came in and trapped with the opponent and then took him over himself, throwing him onto the back of his head. It was a very fresh technique inside anime. So now let's go over how to apply them and make them a little bit better. Okay? The first one, the main thing that gets me is the distance. Because what happens is that from the first punch, he dodges, second punch comes in, he blades his whole body back behind his opponent, covering his fist, steps out again and then punch. There's too many steps. There's no reason to hold your fist back before the punch. So in this instance, what he could have done, and to make it more effectively, is he comes in with that punch, he steps off, blading 90 degrees already perpendicular with the opponent, one hand high up in case the opponent turns back into him. So if Kevin tries to come back to punch, I can cover that and still blast with the second punch out, just like in a lot of traditional karate. They block, strike simultaneously, and reset. So showing that full speed, watching out for it. Ay! Getting out of there, blasting the floating rib, hopefully breaking one, and then stepping back and retreating if necessary. So that's that one. So let's go on to the next one. So the next one is relying on a lot of exhaustion and a lot of probability. So when the opponent comes in with that first punch, you dodge again, second punch, he comes. But you gotta time this just right, and he has to be overly committed and not as good as a professional warrior, and then trip over himself while he still has weight on this leg. It's not as effective as I would like it to be. But you can make it just as effective by touching his shoulder and aiding in that push and then raising this leg up. So now while he's going out of that way, just that motion there takes his balance better. So showing that one more time is that the first punch comes in, move offline, second punch comes in, come, set. And I'm more or less reaping his leg before he has a chance to step around. So just show that one more time. Comes in, evade, step through. From here, I have this in case you try to elbow me in the face or anything. It's barred, I don't have to really worry about it. And I'm not trying to elbow lock and take him down. I'm still trying to stick to what Kenichi was doing. But my foot is set up for his rear leg. And then what I'm going to do is just help push him forward and raise that up so he doesn't have as much place to go. He's on the ground, you do what you gotta do. Okay, last but not least is the judo technique that he ended up using in the karate match. I think he felt guilty about it afterwards. It's been a while since I watched it, but now I'm gonna go back through it and find more cool techniques to share with you guys. Is that the punch came in, the second punch came, and he bladed himself through and crossed his arm over his opponent and even started to turn it back some because he knows he's getting ready to use his own body and just turn back in his stance. He really talked about that. The other thing that he mentioned in the cutscene is that he wanted to take an additional step to load your opponent's weight differently. So he was forward, he loaded one more time, just brought his opponent backwards. And you can see his foot staying planted. Now, that's fine and all if you just want to take your opponent back and watch him sit down, because that's what's going to happen as you break his balance, he's just going to fall. But if you want to make it more brutal, you do the same thing. One, moving in, crossing this. Now, as I take him back and I take his balance, my right leg is going to come up, and this is actually going to top him and throw him down on the ground, and then I move. So the effect of the technique was that he got in so deep, he locked up, and he threw the opponent. The opponent didn't know how to break fall, like a lot of people that don't practice break falls. Even in other martial arts, sometimes they don't practice it enough. They fall back for the first time, they hit their head, they're knocked out. And that's what happened in the show. So these are some of the techniques from History Strong's disciple Kenichi. I thought it was a really good scene, and I'll be diving into a few more. They study a few different martial arts styles throughout the whole entire show because he has many different masters. If you haven't seen it yet, take some time, watch the show, it's really good. And I'll leave a link to the full fight scene below so that you guys can check it out. So, thank you for watching What Would Ninjas Do? Please let me know what you guys think. I'm tapping in my anime geek side and any of the cool martial art animes that I love. I'm going to pull in some really cool fight scenes, analyze them, show you how they can be improved, and bring them to the real world so you guys can see them in action. Thank you for watching. どうもありがとうございました。